Well, hi there and welcome to the ISE FX Options Weekly Outlook for October 31st, 2011. As always, this is Jason Ayers of OptionSource.net. Let's start off with a look at the weekly chart of the US dollar index. This is a great way to gain perspective as to how the US dollar has been trading against a basket of currencies. Well, the dollar index finished its third consecutive week in the negative, driven by the debt relief offered to Greece and the subsequent euro rally. With the news behind us, we do anticipate a bounce that could retrace back up towards 77 over the next few weeks. However, failure to hold support at 75 opens the window for a continuation to retest the year's lows at 73.74. The daily chart reflects the importance of the 75 level for support. A bounce this week could reach 76. Let's take a look at the CDD, the US versus the Canadian dollar. Well, the CDD broke lower to 100 last week, but hovers in the 99-100 focal zone. Failure to hold this key support level will likely yield a move down to 97.98. However, a bounce this week will have us targeting a move into this 101-102 focal zone. Let's take a look at the YUK, the US versus the Japanese yen. Well, the YUK spent most of last week consolidating within the 75.5-76 focal zone. A break above 76 should yield a test of the 76.5-77 focal zone, with a bigger picture resistance hovering at 78. Next up, the EUI, the US dollar versus the euro. Well, the EUI closed last week just shy of the 69.70 support level. We may see a follow through deeper and lower into this support. However, after such a drop, we do anticipate a bounce that would have us targeting 71.72. Let's take a look at the US dollar versus the British pound as seen here in the ISE FX options pair value BPX. Well, the BPX continued to trend down, but now sits at a key support level within the 62.5 focal zone. We anticipate a bounce this week that will have the 63.5 level sitting as a logical target for us. However, failure to hold 62 opens the window for a continuation down towards 61. Let's take a look at the US dollar versus the Australian dollar as seen here in the ISE FX options pair value AUX. Well, as with the CDD, the AUX lost significant ground last week with the strength in commodities. The pair now sits at a key support, and a break above 94 opens the window for a retracement higher towards 95.96. However, failure to hold this 93 support is likely to yield a continuation down towards this 91.92 focal zone. Let's take a look at a few of our key points. First of all, the US dollar lost considerable ground due to the midweek news out of Europe. The index now sits at 75 and should retrace higher after last week's sell-off. The CDD broke below 100 as a result of strength in commodities. The 99-100 level is a key support. The pair should bounce higher this week after such a sell. 101-102 will act as a near-term resistance level. The YUK consolidated along the new support zone at 75.5-76. A break back above 76.5 should open the window for a move towards 77.5-78. The EUI continued lower, pressured by the news out of Europe. With such a significant drop, we anticipate a retracement to the upside that should extend into the 71.72 zone. The VPX continued lower, hovering at 62. We do anticipate a bounce with an upside target of 63.5. AUX continued lower, driven by the strength in commodities. 93.94 should hold as support with an upside bounce expected to test 95. And this has been your ISE FX Options Weekly Outlook for October 31st, 2011. As always, this is Jason Ayers of OptionSource.net reminding you to sign up for your free webinar at www.optionsource.net. Thanks for joining me this week. We'll see you here next week.